Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Halloween Eve here in the United States. It is Thursday, October 30th, 2025. This is a live show 1254. If you're not overly familiar with the show, super casual around here. Normally we hang out, talk about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I'll dive in and take a first look at a game. Sometimes I might unbox a board game. More often than, as I bumped my keyboard. Oops. Wow, I'm jumping the gun there, huh? My hand kind of slipped and went blink. It's a live show, can I tell you? Anyway, usually I'm taking a first look at a role-playing game release, and tonight we're actually going to dive on in and take part in our monthly Paizo Preview. That's right, I am going to show off the Pathfinder and Starfinder physical releases coming from Paizo Inc. in November. In fact, I believe street date is November 5th. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, it's something that you have to be a member of the channel, a subscriber, I guess I should say, of the channel in order to take part. And you must be a subscriber for at least 60 minutes before you can join us in chat. But hey, if you check those boxes off, you want to say howdy, by all means, ask away. Any questions you got, any comments you want to make, fire away. I'll do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Kevin King, Semper Buffo, and Lord Cost 2000 are with us. And we might even have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D joining us this evening as one of our chat moderators. I don't know. I do not know. So we got a lot going on tonight. So there is no tabletop gaming news portion of the dispatch this evening. We are going to dive right on in and begin our Paizo preview in just a couple of moments. Also wanted to remind you, if you have watched the last 3 live streams, we've been taking peeks at the latest Vaesen releases from Free League Publishing. I am in the middle of a contest to give away 4 PDFs of the new Vaesen releases. So all 4 of those new releases that we've taken a peek at, I'm going to put together in a special bundle and award to 1 lucky viewer. And to find out how you can get into the running, you have to watch last night's show when we took a first look at City of My Nightmares for Vaesen. I have noticed you have a few people who have, gone through the steps to be part of the contest. Not a ton. So if you do, your odds are still going to be pretty good. Just letting you know. And yes, Miss Sarah D is with us tonight, as is Sean O'Donnell, Max Apocalypse, DB, and Kathy Evans. All right, as I mentioned, tonight we are going to dive on into the Paizo Preview for November 2025. As I mentioned, these are arriving in stores on November 5th. All of these items are going to take a peek at too are also going to be available in PDF. You'll be able to get them from Paizo.com also on November 5th. So we're going to start off with the Pathfinder Flip-Mat Bayou Hideout. That's right. It is another Flip-Mat. Let's get the shrink wrap off of here. So, of course, this is going to be a double-sided Flip-Mat, which you'll be able to utilize in your Pathfinder adventures. I mention all the time, if you play miniatures, these Flip-Mats work very well for those. Also, since I'm currently running some Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, these work very nicely for those adventures too. And of course, really any role-playing game, and not necessarily have to be a fantasy role-playing game either, because as you can see here, it's really could even be utilized for a modern skirmish miniatures game or role-playing game as well. So there's the one side, and of course, these are 3 panels by 3 panels. So this is the main hideout, it looks like. Those look like those were outbuildings. And then we've got our main hideout here. Like we've got some boats. Cool. Very nice. Of course, you can utilize these with wet and dry and even permanent marker. I believe if you use permanent marker on these, you have to use, I think it's a dry erase marker over it. And then you can get rid of that. So this is going to carry an MSRP of $19.99. If you want to just grab the PDF, you'll be able to do so for $9.99. All right, next up, we're going to take a look at the next to last of the Pathfinder Adventure Path monthly releases. This is number 220, Crypt of Runes. It is part 2 of the Revenge of the Rune Lords Adventure Path. This will carry an MSRP of $29.99. The PDF will be available for $19.99. Kevin King says, apart from the building, that Bayou map could serve as the approach to the Abomination Vaults. Yes. And of course, that is another of the Pathfinder Adventure Paths. You can probably tell from my voice and a little bit from my or actually more than usual nasalness of my voice. Still haven't shaken the con crud. It's just lingering. It's almost gone. It's getting a lot better, but still kind of in my chest and that. But we're gonna power on through. All right, so let's take a look at the back here. Racing Against Doomsday. Rune Lord Xandergul is back from the dead, served by a cult whose plans bode ill for the Saga lands and beyond. The heroes know the cult resides in the legendary Crypt of Runes, yet how will they find their way into this hidden realm? Do these powerful mythic heroes have the destiny they'll need in order to save the world from the Rune Lord of Pride's devastating plans for revenge? The Revenge of the Rune Lord's Adventure Path continues with Crypt of Runes, a complete adventure for 15th through 17th level mythic characters. So, of course, the previous adventure path is the one that set up the mythic sort of era. So we do have 2 different adventure paths back to back, which have not necessarily the same exact setting, but they do have the feel that the player characters are becoming demigods, essentially. Like I said, they are mythic heroes. All right, so this will be broken down into 3 chapters. Then we have, looks like a section about the cults of Thassalon, terrors of Leng, and our adventure toolbox. Of course, Sammy Uhas has been reviewing the Pathfinder Adventure Paths. I should mention from here on out, once I finish up my reviews of the Starfinder GM Core, as well as the Guilt of the Grave Worlds Adventure Path for Starfinder, Sammy is going to take over reviewing all of the Paizo releases. I will still be sharing the Paizo Preview on a monthly basis. I might jump in from time to time to review something that really catches my eye, but we're going to have Sammy take over as far as all of, well, I should say the vast majority of the Paizo Inc. reviews. Chardell says, still feeling all cough hackalier this eve. I'm okay. I'm doing all right. It's usually like 1 o'clock in the morning. Then it's sort of like, all right. Chapter 1, History has broken. During the previous adventure, the PCs learned that the true leader of the Risen of the Trinity Star is none other than Xander Ghoul, Rune Lord of Pride. While Xander Ghoul's goals remain unclear, the PCs know that he recently possessed a woman named Athusa and now seeks to bring untold devastation to the Saga lands. And of course, you want to keep in mind, I'm going to skip past pages in this. And of course, this is an adventure path. So if you are a player and your game master is picking up this adventure path, obviously enough, they haven't started running it yet. Keep in mind, gonna stumble across some possible spoilers here, just as we're taking a peek. All right, so Stephanie Meckley is with us. I always mispronounce her name. I think it's just, now it's just a thing, right? It's like, said they wanted to say hi to their favorite reviewer and my crowd before bed. Very cool. Thank you for popping on in. Mike is with us. Roy Loveday is also popping on in. I got to be honest, with the thing going on right now with YouTube screwing up people's names, Roy Loveday could be one of our regulars, or Roy could be somebody popping on in for the very first time. Regardless, welcome. Max Apocalypse says there are definitely spoilers when you share a first look at a Car Wars product. Not that we've seen a new Car Wars product in years. So even the new Car Wars that Steve Jackson Games came out with just fizzled. Really nothing going on there. All right, we got chapter 2, 10,000 Emerald Chambers. So it looks like there's a peacock phoenix that needs to be defeated. Oh, there you go. Insatiable boar worms. Jandalay Tolokand. Okay. Kind of weird looking character there. Or I guess it wasn't a character. I guess they're some of the monsters. Max Apocalypse says the art in this is pretty cool. Yeah, not too shabby. I've seen a couple that looked a little cartoonish, which is fine. I don't get bent out of shape about that kind of stuff. All right, so then we have Doorways to Dream and Doom. Let's see. When the chapter begins, make sure the players feel like they're up against the clock and stopping the Risen from achieving their apocalyptic goal. But until you begin event 3, that ticking countdown doesn't begin. The players should have time to rest and recover from their adventures in the Crypt of Runes, but not time to pursue any other downtime activities. All right. So we had the Plains of Leng. That's interesting. Did Lovecraft come up with the Plains of Leng? Or is it someone else? And Lovecraft used it. Trying to remember. Kevin King says, Roll for Combat and Paizo seem to have very similar approaches to design, layout, and art. Yes. And I think part of that is because Steven and the team over at Roll for Combat, especially with their Pathfinder compatible releases, they want things to look pretty similar. So it's a very easy segue from one into the other. Although I gotta admit, their 5e D&D releases have that same Pathfinder look. They don't aim to kind of ape the Wizards of the Coast layout. So we got the cults of Thassalon. The religious landscape of Thassalon, both new and old, is as complex and multifaceted as the Empire itself. The system and tradition of religious practices evolved throughout the Empire's history, shifting from a more classical model of faith serving alongside rulership at the dawn of the Empire to an increasingly complicated model blurring between the lines as the Rune Lords gained more power. At its core were several prominent deities and powerful figures who shaped the spiritual landscape of Thassalon. Then we're going to have a chapter with the Terrors of Leng, which is pretty much going to be providing us with some new hazards. Obviously, we'll have a bestiary is my guess. That's what we'll normally see in the adventure toolbox. It's got some new feats. Vengeance feats. And then we've got the Clockwork Whale, the Animate Nightmare, the Ravenous Crypt. There's our Peacock Phoenix. And who's going to be our major NPC that we're getting a breakdown of? Athusa, or Aethusa, the thrice-born queen. Dun, dun, dun. All right. That is a peek at Crypt of Runes. This is the second part of the 3-part Revenge of the Rune Lords adventure path for Pathfinder. It is the final adventure path that's going to be having monthly releases. Pretty wild. DB is saying, I think it's a plateau of Leng from At the Mountains of Madness you might be thinking of. Yes, it is. But usually when a role-playing game has Leng in it, it is a nod to that. So Shazama85 is joining us in chat. Now, the big Pathfinder release, not to say that this isn't a big release, but our major Pathfinder release this month is going to be Monster Core 2. That's right. I think this clocks in at about like 370 pages or so. So it is a pretty hefty volume here. This will carry an MSRP of $69.99. As with most of the core Pathfinder and Starfinder releases, you get a pretty good break on the PDFs. So this in PDF will be $19.99 on November 5th. Let's take a peek at the back here. Something else I also want to point out is the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with all of these review copies, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this video with you, these first looks with you. It's very important that you know that. Even more dangers. No matter how many times heroes save the day, new monsters are always lurking around the corner. Inside Pathfinder Monster Core 2, you'll find over 300 monsters, including fantasy staples like elementals, trolls, and all new dragons, deadly creatures like swarm striders and the devastating obsessate demon, and unique monsters from Pathfinder's Lost Omens setting, like the drummer cat and the unstoppable star, or I should say, I started to say star. It's Spawn of Rovagug, I guess. This collection is an ideal resource for game masters looking to bring new challenges to their game and players looking for new monstrous allies to summon. Chardell is also pointing out the pocket editions of these books also have a very nice price. But I've got those old eyes. I need the larger font. Not that these fonts are very large. Pretty cool cover artwork here. All right, let's take a peek inside. Of course, we've got our credits over here. Lots of folks work very hard to bring this to life. So let's just dive on in. So we're going to get how to use the book to start off with. And giving us a breakdown of how to read these stat blocks. Yes, Sean O'Donnell points out that the pocket editions have hilariously small print. Kevin King says, disclaimer, many mathematicians died balancing stats for this volume. So we have the Aeon. Aeons are said to have taken part in the creation of the cosmos and still now protect their dualistic vision of it. Among them, the Axiomites, I think it's Axiomites, continued the act of creation on a more recognizable scale, building endless legions of constructs in the planar city of Axis. So we're going to get some different ones there. So we got some new angels, new animated objects such as animated silverware, animated furnace, animated trebuchet, animated colossus, the Asura. I always like bestiaries. I say that every time we take a peek at one. In fact, we've got two to take a peek at tonight. This is only one of them. How about that? I also think that bestiaries sell very well for role-playing games. Oh, that's it. I just wanted to get this for the bison entry. And then, of course, we'll have little sidebar items here talking about related information. The Darvaka. Darvaka, also called nightshades, are a ravenous evil made up of equal parts darkness and malice. They form from creatures of the outer planes who travel to the convergence of the netherworld and the void, where the power of nothingness obliterates them. These undead abominations are the physical embodiment of entropy and burn with an intense hatred for all life, working to bring a final dark night to the universe where nothing but ash and ice remain. Yes. Mike Spocklips says, the end of reality is a heck of a sidebar. So Chardell said they got the pawns for the first Monster Core. Any word on when this is going to receive pawns. I don't know, to be very honest. It took them a while, if I remember right, to get the Monster Core pawns out. Like more than a year? I would hope it's not that long. Got some new dinosaurs, including the Velociraptor pack. Some new dragons. We've got the Cinder Dragon. Oh, is that like cinnamon flavored? Yeah, the Cinnamon Dragon. The Despair Dragon. The Requiem Dragon. So we got quite a few new dragons in here. The Rune Dragon. The Dragonette. Air Elemental. So we've got some new elementals, as it was mentioned on the back of the book. Yeah, definitely dig the artwork here. The frog. The spear frog is named for its toxin, which is traditionally used to envenom thrown projectiles like, oh, here we go, wild guess, spears and daggers. So we have the entry for the spear frog, as well as spear frog poison and a new giant frog. Yeah, this is just jam-packed. Gremlins. Gremlins arose long ago in the first world, living embodiments of nature's ability to wear away, erode, and decompose. In the universe, their encounters with mortal civilizations twisted them into creatures devoted to chaos, sabotage, and traps, each variety specializing in a particular brand of mayhem. There's something out on the wing! The Gug. Yes. If I remember correctly, isn't the Gug, let's go back. It is from the dreamlands of Lovecraft. Pretty sure. So Shazama85 says you can pre-order the Monster Core 2 pawn box right now. It's expected in April. Well, that's not too bad. Right? The hippopotamus. The iceberg clam. It says they're technically not an iceberg nor clam. It's an elemental. Jotunborn. The Kelpie. That is, if I remember right, I think the Kelpie is Irish. I think it's Irish folklore. Kelpies are malevolent amphibious phase shape changers who lure mortals to a watery grave. These cruel predators lurk around bodies of water of any type, only slightly preferring fresh water over salt water. Kelpies lure or drag their prey underwater, then drown and devour them, leaving behind only the victim's heart and liver, the only parts of a meal Kelpies find unpleasant, tossed upon the shore. Kelpies are fond of magically disguising themselves as fine steeds or attractive strangers to draw in victims, but their true appearance is that of a hideous equine with slimy green flesh resembling aquatic plants. Shazam85 says the pawns are also part of the Pathfinder accessories subscription. Kevin King says a good 20% of these creatures would be difficult for player characters to picture from verbal description alone. Good thing it has art. The pawns are better. I have I shouldn't say really small. I have a small tablet that's pretty old, which is what I use to put images on to share with the gang when I'm running something. The Nixie. These aquatic fae often guard ponds, rivers, lakes, and springs, protecting their bucolic homes from the advances of predators and careless settlers alike. Nixies tend to be reclusive and try to keep their presence hidden from humanoids, hoping trespassers won't give them cause to act. They're rarely found near settlements as industry has a habit of polluting their waters. All right. The giant opossum. Never could understand why sometimes it's possum and sometimes it's opossum. For some strange reason, I think I remember as a kid knowing why they did that because it's the same animal. It's not two different animals. But over the years, I've forgotten. We got the poppets. Poppets are simple constructs made to assist their creators with basic tasks. So here we get the poppet attendant and the poppet mage. W. Forge says one is from Australia. Is that really it? That doesn't sound right. I think W. Forge is trying to pull my leg. By the way, welcome back, W. Forge, for joining us in chat. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. The Shay are wispy, tenebrous creatures native to the plane of shadow. Their amorphous bodies appear in constant states of flux. They cast no shadows of their own, instead exchanging umbral energy with nearby shadows that shrink and grow alongside them. So Showdal says, yes, opossums is the American one. Oh, okay. The Shuggoth. Well, we know this is Lovecraft. Skeletons, skull peeler. She's like it's like a flying monkey with dragonfly wings. Yeah, Kevin King says, Shuggoth, speaking of At the Mountains of Madness. Hey, speaking of Lovecraft, I shared the 5-part Shadow over Innsmouth adaptation that BBC4 did a few years ago. That was part of a spooktacular back in, I believe it was 2022. And if you follow me on social media, you know I've been sharing flashbacks to previous spooktaculars because I really wasn't going to have time this year to do it, to put one together. So up through yesterday was the 5 parts. No, I want to say yesterday was the conclusion that I shared because today is the first part of Donovan's Brain from Suspense. It is a 2-part episode of Suspense from the 50s. I think it's the 50s. I don't think it's the 40s. Oh, maybe it is the 40s. You know what? I think I'm wrong. I think it's like 1944. And I think it's the only 2-part episode of Suspense, or maybe one of 2, because that was something that just, didn't happen. They put a story in one episode. All right, so we got some new trolls. We got the 2-headed troll. Very nice. This is just jam-packed. We've got the Nosferatu. And we'll wrap up with some zombies. So we have the Shambler Troop. We have the Sulfur Zombie, the Zombie Dragon. And then we're going to get into a glossary, it looks like. Get some rituals here, too. Creatures by level. And we will wrap up with some ads. So, yes, I said this was about 370 pages. It is 376, counting the advertisements. Sweet. Once again, this is arriving in stores on November 5th. It'll carry an MSRP of $69.99. You'll be able to get the PDF for $19.99. Well, we are going to pause for a moment with our Paizo. Come on, Jeff. Speak English here. Our Paizo. What? Raphaelis, gosh, what is that? 69? I forget how to do the Roman numerals. Is joining us in chat. Yeah, DB says better than Wazoo. Anyway, we're going to pause our Paizo preview for a moment, as I do want to mention, if you happen to like PDFs, just not necessarily from Paizo Inc., because they don't have a lot of stuff up on Drive-Thru RPG. But one of the ways you can actually support the Gaming Gang is by utilizing our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as Drive-Thru RPG. Pathfinder Infinite is one of the One Bookshelf sites. I don't know how many PDFs are on that. I should take a look one day. But we also have Dungeon Masters Guild, Storytellers Vault, Wargame Vault, all of those sites. Well, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with them. So if you visit gaminggang.com, click on one of our banners. If you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those commissions really do add up and keep the gaminggang.com around. There are also a couple other ways that you can support the outlet. One is by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. And of course, you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And there are links to those in the show notes. Should also mention down in those show notes is an invite link to our Discord server, absolutely free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. And yes, tomorrow I will be sharing the winner of the 4 Wesen PDFs right about 8 p.m. Central. And you must be a member of our Discord server in order to be named the winner. So there is that. Of course, on all the live shows, I like to give a shout out to all of our Patreon members. So a big thank you to Gustavo Cavallo, my designer friend Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Max Apocalypse, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, GameCat, Kevin King, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Thank you kindly, everybody. It is vastly appreciated. And Rex Fellis says they just got notified that the Starfinder 2nd Edition Warframe adventure is available. Cool. All right. So we're going to get back to our Paizo preview with a peek at the Starfinder releases in just a few moments. But since it is Halloween Eve, I thought it'd be time to share our final brief intermission focused on Halloween. Once that, scrawl goes past and gets out of here. And there we go.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
The best popcorn in town is Manley's High Pop, in regular or jumbo cartons. Here's why. Take the tastiest, tenderest, scientifically grown popcorn, add pure, delicious seasoning and specially prepared salt. Then let the famous Manley machine work its magic on Manley popcorn, America's favorite popcorn. Crisp, savory, wonderful. Visit our concession stand now for Manley's High Pop.
For the best in good taste, our good name is based on the franks and soft drinks that we serve. So step up right now, ask for high grade and how they're the best you soon will observe. One bite'll sure tell why we say they're so sweet. So don't miss, have a hot, tasty Frank. For that sweet tooth of yours and to satisfy her, the selection of candies top rank. Yes, right now is the time, there's no standing in line. Just step up and you'll get snappy action. Potato chips you can munch, maybe have a light lunch.
Come on, folks, it's our major attraction. You know what a teaser is, darling? No? Well, let me, Elvira, give you an example. You can win $1,000 in the Coors Light Spring Green sweepstakes when I give you this phone number. Dial it. And if you're the 50th caller, voila, you win. But I ain't giving it to you just yet. Find out when at this Coors and Coors Light display. And that, darling, is a teaser. I'd give you another one, but I'm not that kind of girl. So, nobody's perfect.
When you see me, everyone knows what time of year it is. It's Halloween. This Halloween, make sure adults see you coming with shiny, bright yellow Halloween safety bags from Pizza Hut and 28 WPTF-TV. And be careful trick-or-treating this Halloween. Tell your parents where you're going and who's going with you. Before you go out, you can pick up a free Halloween safety bag. Come to any participating Pizza Hut restaurant and pick one up. The Halloween safety bag is free from your friends at Pizza Hut and WPTF-TV.
What are those spooks doing?
Serving Wilkins tea. It's out of this world. Finest tea served, ghost to ghost.
God, it knows I'm here.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
Now look, Doc, we're buddies, okay? But don't try to convert me.
I'm trying to prepare you. My name's Marquay, Dr. Marquay, a scientist interested in the supernatural. The unnatural, if you like. I came to Hill House to find the key to another world. Assisting me in this exploration of the unknown was Eleanor, Nell, who could look back into the past, and Theo, something of a witch, who could see into the future. This is Luke, who didn't believe in anything. Until evil, patient and waiting, made him change his mind.
Stop it! God. God. Whose hand was I holding?
How many of us take seriously the things we cannot or do not want to understand, simply because we are afraid?
Eleanor, your paw! Did you hear me calling?
Oh, this house. You have to watch it every minute.
The Haunting was produced and directed by Robert Wise, brilliant producer of West Side Story. The stars consist of a cross-section of top talent in the world of entertainment. Julie Harris, Claire Bloom, Richard Johnson, Russ Tamblyn.
What does it take to convince you that the dead do not always rest in peace? That some houses, like Hill House, are born bad?
The Haunting. That is one of my absolute favorite horror movies, and there is no gore whatsoever. None. And the book is fantastic. The book by Shirley Jackson is better than the movie. And it's funny because you never really know, is it the house or is it Emily? I like how it's kind of ambiguous at the end. I think it's the house, but that's just me. And yes, we had manly popcorn. Max Apocalypse says, no sissy popcorn here. Guess not. All right, let's jump back into our Paizo preview. First thing we're going to take a peek at is the Starfinder Flip-Mat Renegade Outpost. This will carry an MSRP of $19.99. You'll be able to get the PDF for $9.99. Daryl Eritz with us says, always blame the woman. I don't know about that. My opinion, I think she actually brings out the worst in the house because she has psychic abilities. I don't want to ruin the movie if you haven't seen it because it is an excellent film. You really, really should check it out if you have not. It's been remade a few times. Nowhere close to the original. In fact, DB said they saw it in a theater one time and it was great. Much better than when they watched it on TV because the crowd was really into it. Sweet. All right. So we have got the Renegade Outpost. Once again, these are 3 panels by 3 panels. So looks like these are the defenses of the outpost here on this side, at least. And then on the other side, we have got, looks like a different outpost. This one looks like this is set in the treetops. That's kind of interesting. The other one looks more like kind of a desert setting. So there you go. Quick peek at that. And for some reason, they put 2 of these in here. All right, then we've got the Game Master screen. So yes, Starfinder 2nd Edition now has its Game Master screen out. This carries an MSRP of $24.99. PDF is $9.99. Looks like it is 4 panels. And it is landscape. So first thing we'll do here is take a peek at the artwork. There's Chick. Chardell says the Babadook had them wondering at the end, what was the real deal? And yes, Kevin King says that she also has issues that she represses. Yeah, I almost started giving away the whole movie. I won't, I promise. There we go. So there is the art. And we have one panel here. It's conditions. These are our basic actions: death and dying, unconsciousness, treating wounds, cover, falling damage, skill actions, giving us a breakdown of simple DCs, DCs by level, specific skill DCs, detecting creatures, exploration activities, hero points, structures, experience point awards. I got to be honest, I don't think many people running Pathfinder or Starfinder even worry about the XPs anymore. I think they all, not all of them, but a vast majority of them go with the milestone leveling. All right, so that is the Game Master screen. Nice stock as far as the cardboard. That'll hold up very nicely. All right, and our final item that we're taking a look at tonight is the Alien Core for Starfinder 2nd Edition. As I had mentioned, when we took a look at the Monster Core 2, we've got 2 bestiaries to look at tonight. This is the second of them. This will carry an MSRP of $64.99, and the PDF will be $19.99. Creatures from space. Alien Core contains over 200 creatures. Starfinder classics such as robots, glass serpents, and new varieties of the ravenous swarm. Strange alien animals from laser wolves to dinosaur-like Rancrotas, and powerful galactic threats like alien dragons. This book introduces brand new creature adjustment options to make your creatures fit your adventure. From radioactive trolls to robotic demons, the options are practically limitless. The creatures in this book are suitable for all levels of play, making Alien Core the perfect tool for game masters planning a campaign, for players looking for allies to summon. Whether you're playing the Starfinder role-playing game or expanding your Pathfinder campaign with all new science fantasy creatures. That is the big point of second edition Starfinder. Now Pathfinder and Starfinder are compatible. I may not necessarily say they are 100% compatible, although that is the claim that Paizo does make. But you can kind of dip in to Starfinder with your Pathfinder characters, or kind of do a little time travel with your Starfinder characters back to Galarian, Lost Galarian, for your Pathfinder adventures. So I think that's pretty cool. I really like that. And it also gives you the opportunity to utilize the various different heritages, you know, the ancestries and stuff. So I like that. So if there's an ancestry here for Starfinder that you're like, man, I really like that, I wish that was in Pathfinder. Well, it can be now. All right. So we will no doubt start off with a bit of an introduction telling us how to utilize this book. Actually, first thing, let's take a peek at the credits again. A lot of folks worked very hard to put this all together, so we'll give them some credit. Give them all the credit, actually. So we've got information about role-playing creatures, adjusting creatures. Then we're going to get right on into our entries. So we've got the AN again. Of course, I'm skipping a bunch of pages as we're taking a peek inside. We've got the Blood Brother, a terrifying ambush predator native to the eternally frozen dark side of Verces. A Blood Brother is a massive, sinuous creature with an unarmed carapace, an exposed rib cage that functions as both a maw and a grotesque cage. Prey trapped within this ribcage prison are pinned in place by bone spurs and pierced by hundreds of vein-like suckers that hijack the victim's circulatory system for the Blood Brothers' needs. Blood Brothers, I should say, drain their unfortunate prisoners over the course of weeks, using them as a secondary heart and feeding on blood-borne nutrients. Well. Showdown says we need Mr. G to roll in and remind us that he's the biggest third-party Pathfinder publisher. Yep. Good old Steven from Roll for Combat needs to pop on in. He's probably recovering from a live stream, or maybe he's coming up with a new clickbait title for his next video. I bust his chops all the time. He knows his titles are clickbait. So we got some new demons. It looks like that would fit right into Doom. Dominion of the Black. Before the Gap, the Dominion of the Black had a strong presence on Octurne and would occasionally invade other planets, such as Lost Galarian, in search of brains to devour brains, and in pursuit of other mysterious agendas. Now the people of the Pact Worlds understand that the Dominion has secret bases across the galaxy. The Pact Worlds might draw their attention from time to time, but their missions take them to many worlds and many star systems. So we're going to get some creatures that are members of that. Some dragons, like the Cosmic Dragon, the Host Dragon. We got some drakes. the ravenous drake. The shipbreaker. Shipbreakers are bullet-shaped chunks of living steel crackling with electricity from their plasma fields. Shipbreakers propel themselves through space, seeking faint electronic signals emitted by starships. After tracking a target, shipbreakers slam into the starship using a powerful breach maneuver and then rip through the hull to get at the crew inside, ingesting passengers, components, and cargo in a vicious gulp that fuels their interplanetary predation. Charnel says that we needed more weird cosmic stuff in Paizo games. I tell people all the time, I dig Starfinder. I like the first edition of Starfinder. Just for the most part, it just feels to me like Starfinder kind of plays fast and loose with science fantasy. Sort of like, yeah, we're going to do whatever we want. And I like that. I think that's kind of cool. I think Pathfinder is designed a bit more sort of to try to be in line with the sort of adventures that you run across from like Dungeons and Dragons. Although the reality is, I have found with the adventure paths that I've had an opportunity to really kind of dive into for Pathfinder, I do feel that there's a lot more originality going on in a Pathfinder adventure path than in most of the D&D adventures that are released. The moonflower. These enormous plants have thick knotted trunks festooned with fanged blossoms. A gaping mouth opens from the top of the trunk, capable of swallowing most creatures smaller than the moonflower. Moonflowers can move slowly and attack with their powerful roots, but they usually dig deeply into the surrounding ground and remain stationary to ambush prey. Charnel says Pathfinder reminds them of Final Fantasy IX. Hey, speaking of video games, next week we get Europa Universalis 5. I wonder how that's going to come out. Yeah, it's just, I'm a huge fan of 4, and I know that the Paradox games, when they come out, they don't tend to be finished. They eventually become fantastic. Like Stellaris, and of course, like Crusader Kings 3. I'm kind of curious if maybe this time, what's going to happen? Fingers crossed that, because I just heard there's new DLC that came out for Crusader Kings 3, and it's Japanese in its theme, and it's supposed to like completely revamp the game. And I was like, wow, really? So it's not as if Paradox just sits back and does nothing. But I'm kind of curious how EU5 is going to be. I'm going to pick it up. Chanel says they have to work on their casus belli for buying it. Yeah, I know. That's kind of the thing with Paradox. You pick up one of their games and you start picking up the DLC, and it's not too long where you're like, wait a second, I spent $250 on this game? It's a video game, for God's sake. Computer game, whatever. Robot civil. Civil robots can be found in almost any large settlement employed by the local government. They aren't meant to function as keepers of the peace, but instead perform minor functions, such as collecting refuse, aiding citizens with information, or collecting taxes. However, they can still defend themselves against vandals if necessary. This is the ordnance class civil robot. This is the tax class civil robot. I bet you could swipe some of these and utilize them with Traveler if you wanted. If you weren't Go ahead and make sure that you're running your Traveler campaign specifically as Mongoose has designed the setting. If you wanted to make it a little more science fantasy as opposed to science fiction. The scrap rat. The space worm. Spectra. In the great beyond, time is measured not in hundreds, thousands, or millions of years, but rather in eons, in iterations of reality itself, only rising to prominence within the last 3 centuries alongside the advent and proliferation of drift technology. Spectra has thrived in a burgeoning niche of the otherwise stagnant zeitgeist of the great beyond. Cool. And of course, as we saw in Monster Core 2, we also have the various different sidebars with additional information. We've got the Terror of Ukalam. When a massive ooze-like being emerged from the polluted caverns of Castrovel's industrial moon. You mean the blob? Hey, is gonna be Steve McQueen who saves everybody on the planet? Elendray, the planet's leader, has made the mistake of assuming the ooze posed no threat to Castrovel itself when the ooze destroyed several of the moon's shipyards, then launched itself through space to the remote reaches of Ukalam. They made the mistake of assuming they had time to quarantine the threat in that continent's remote wilderness. When its radiation began to spread and the long-dead Eledrian cultists rose from their nest necropolises beneath the singing range to worship the ooze, the planet's leaders finally understood they couldn't ignore it. They called it the Terror of Ukalam. They still don't understand quite why it is, why it exists, or what it wants. Agile Monk has popped on into chat. DB had to rock and roll. So good to see you both. Welcome aboard, Agile Monk. We're getting ready to wrap up here. So it looks like we've got some new trolls in the Alien Core too. We got a double dose of trolls with the new November releases. Let's see. We got one more. The Zitterok. Zitteroks are vicious reptilians native to Asmung's absurdity world of Ashan Prime. Due to the native Ashan's propensity for trading, these creatures have made their way across the cosmos and found new homes in the galaxy's various wetlands. Zitteroks are renowned across the galaxy. Excuse me. For their ability to innately detect and somehow ignore even the most virulent poisons. They can siphon such poisons from targets and convert them into fuel source for their digestive acids. Even after this siphoning process, trace amounts of poison can be found within a Zitterok, and the fresh bodies of Zitteroks are often a cornucopia of medicinal substances for biotechnicians and pharmaceutical experts. Well, there you go. So Sean O'Donnell's wondering if DB and Agile Monk are the same person. All right. Then we are going to get into our ability glossary, creature traits, creatures by level. Then we'll wrap up with an index. No. Well, I think we had a pretty detailed table of contents with each of the entries up front, so that's okay. All right. Very nice. So that is the Alien Core for Starfinder 2nd Edition. Once again, this arrives on November 5th. Carries an MSRP of $64.99. You'll be able to grab the PDF for $19.99. Once again, Sammy will be reviewing the Pathfinder and Starfinder releases, the majority of them going forward. So She will have the review for Alien Core, Monster Core 2, Crypt of Runes, and so forth. All right. Very nice. So that is our Paizo preview for November 2025. Good amount of content coming out. And then, of course, these are just the physical releases. We also have digital releases that arrive as well. So there you have it. All right. It is Halloween Eve here in the U.S. So those of you watching in the States, hope you have a fun and safe Halloween. If you're taking the kiddies out, hopefully they have a lot of fun. They stay safe. And I will not be doing shows next week. If you're tuning in, if you weren't watching on Tuesday or Wednesday, I did mention next week I will be taking a break. I usually take a week off every quarter just to kind of recharge my batteries a little bit. Now, having said there aren't going to be any live shows does not mean there are no videos scheduled for next week. We're actually going to run across quite a few videos. In fact, probably more than a normal week would be with the live streams. Shoutout asks if my brother's house is all done up. Yes, it is. We're starting to run out of room. I mean, they live in a townhouse, so it's not like they've got a massive front yard and side yard. So, yes, they are starting to run out of room. But as always, the neighbors are all like, holy cow, look at this. So, yeah, pretty cool. Pretty nice. All right, everybody. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm normally sharing the tabletop gaming news or flipping on through a role-playing game book or unboxing a board game. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate you taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it's supposed to let you know not only when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube, it's also supposed to notify you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Old Gods of Appalachia from Monty Cook Games. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you will join me in a little more than a week. So the second, I guess it'd be the second week of November. That is when I'll be back. But of course, keep your eyes peeled. I will be sharing videos before then. And as always, I certainly hope every single one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.